It is hard to believe that it's been a year since then. I think it's kind of the first of the healing process.
It'll never be out of the rearview mirror. This will never be forgotten.
1 year ago today, the Marshall Fire burned 1,084 homes across Louisville, Superior, and parts of unincorporated Boulder County. It has impacted countless lives. Today, the burn areas look different than they did a year ago. They're under a fresh coat of snow. Boulder had one of its driest stretches in a century in the 5 months leading up to that fire. The county barely got 1.5 inches of snow. The lack of moisture plus a warmer fall and extremely strong winds helped fuel the Marshall Fire. The next day, 4 to 6 inches of fresh snow put out the last hot spots. Many things that should never be burned did the night of the fire. Housing material, cars burned. They burned toxins that brought concerns over the air quality in the Superior and Louisville area.
And as 9 News reporter Jaleesa Irizarry shows us, that very issue has been the focus for a CU researcher over the last year. She joins us now live from Louisville. Hi, Jaleesa.
Hi, those first few days after the fire, we heard the warnings from health officials warning about the toxins inside the debris homeowners were sifting through. But it wasn't just the burned homes we had to worry about. There were some concerns for those that were still standing. Destruction is still apparent. The gaps between the homes are snow-covered signs of all that was lost. But it's what couldn't be seen that worried Juice DeGao.
You know, it was our friends, our colleagues who were impacted. And so this was much more personal. And yeah, I've never had to do something like that.
DeGao is a professor at CU Boulder. Within days of the Marshall Fire, his team drove past the ruined homes.
See all of the buildup of ash right behind it.
To the ones that were spared, physically, not environmentally.
We heard about a lot of concerns of people returning to their homes that had not been burned, and finding a lot of ash in their homes, finding burn smells inside their homes. What we found was that initially the indoor air quality had been affected by the fire. That was very clear. But then over the course of those 5 weeks, the concentrations inside slowly but surely decreased to what we would consider to be normal levels.
12 months later, DeGao says the indoor and outdoor air quality in the Marshall Fire burn area is okay. But as rebuilds begin, the concern turns towards the devastation that right now can't be seen.
Even now, a year after the fire, we're still getting emails from people with health concerns. We have to stay open to the possibility that that people are still affected by the fire.
DeGao says they are done collecting data, but now they're analyzing that data to see if there are any toxins that are unique to an urban fire. They'll be publishing their findings in the coming months. Steve and Alex.
All right, Jaleesa Irizarry reporting. Thank you.
The Marshall Fire was the costliest wildfire in Colorado history. The Rocky Mountain Insurance Information Association tallied at least $2 billion in insured losses. Over the last year, federal and state governments, along with Boulder County, have spent at least $182 million on the recovery. Most of that money went to support rebuilding through grants and loans to fire survivors. State and federal agencies have spent at least $35 million on debris removal and cleanup after the fire. Spending will likely increase as more grants and loans are approved.
Taking a live look outside right now over Lookout Mountain. That beautiful fresh coat of snow out there. Meteorologist Greg Perez here with us, watching us recover from what was a relatively surprising storm, but a beautiful one nonetheless.
Yeah, it was that wet, heavy snow too, right, Steve? I mean, you try and go outside and you shovel it, and it is just so darn heavy, and it's staying heavy because all of that snow has a whole lot of moisture in it, and temperatures overnight are going to drop back down only into the 20s, meaning a lot of that snow, it's going to stick around. Observed high temperatures for today in the upper 30s and lower 40s, Lyman in the upper 20s and lower 30s. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer. We'll do temperatures in the middle to upper 40s. I'll get to that in just a few moments. Currently, right now, 34 degrees in Denver, a touch cooler out towards Kremling and Eagle, all below freezing in the high country from Leadville to Eagle and, of course, through Kremling. And this is all as we await our next system that's set to dump a good amount of snow, especially for the western half of the state and, of course, into the mountains. That's why we have winter weather advisories and, of course, winter storm warnings. So a winter storm warning from 6 o'clock tonight to 6 o'clock on Monday. So that's a full 48 hours, actually 72 hours, I should say. The Gore and Elk Mountain, Central Mountain Valleys are expected to get 10 to 20 inches of snow with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the upper Yampa River Basin, 6 to 12 inches of snow. The same thing goes for Rocky Mountain National Park, Medicine Bow Range, and of course the Roan Plateau. The winter weather advisory is for areas that you see in that turquoise color, 6 to 12 inches and 55-mile-per-hour gusts. So we have an extremely active pattern ahead, say, over the next 48 to 72 hours. I'm going to be breaking that down a whole lot more coming up in my full forecast. All
right, Greg. Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, we now know the identity of the man killed by an avalanche on Berthoud Pass on Monday. 44-year-old Brian Bunnell was killed while snowboarding after he was buried in the snow. Bunnell was a mountain biking coach at Green Mountain High School and a teacher at Conifer High. 9 News reporter Nelson Garcia talks to a former colleague who knew him well.
What was supposed to be a fun day in the mountains turned into tragedy.
It was sad news to share with the community, the passing of a beloved teacher like Brian Bunnell.
Wes Paxton hired Brian Bunnell as a science teacher at Conifer High School 7 years ago.
Hi, my name is Brian Bunnell, and I am your child's teacher.
Paxton said Bunnell was great in engaging students.
Chemistry is a very challenging subject, and he did a really good job of making connections with the students, how they understood it, how it was relevant today, and also he made connections because he loved the outdoors.
44-year-old Bunnell was an avid mountain biker and snowboarder. He was snowboarding with his 3 sons when he was killed by an avalanche on Berthoud Pass on Monday.
Just the shock of someone taken away in such a tragic situation as the avalanche, and being there with his family, his sons were with him. It just hit me really hard.
Brian's family released a statement this afternoon stating in part, quote, "The family would like to say that Brian lived life to its fullest each and every day. We'll try to honor his memory by doing the same."
So tragic, and my heart goes out to the family during this time.
Nelson Garcia, 9 News.
Avalanche danger still considerable across much of our state right now, and backcountry conditions are only expected to get worse after tonight's storm. The Colorado Avalanche Information Center asking anyone who is thinking about heading into the backcountry this weekend to use extreme caution.
Today, police in Idaho announced they arrested the man they believe is responsible for stabbing 4 University of Idaho students while they slept. NBC's Dan Shinneman takes us through today's announcement and what we know about the suspect a month and a half after those murders.
In November, 4 college students were stabbed and killed in Moscow, Idaho. Now police say there is an arrest. 28-year-old Brian Koberger taken into custody in Pennsylvania.
We have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes.
The alleged assailant, who police say has ties to Pennsylvania, is now being held there awaiting extradition. Skylar Jacobson says he was Koberger's running partner about a decade ago.
I would have never thought something like this would be accused of him.
Police say the assailant was a graduate student at Washington State University. Authorities scoured an apartment in Pullman where he lived.
Still looking for all pieces of evidence, but we are still looking for the weapon.
The 4 victims, students all in their early 20s, were found in the morning hours of November 13th. All of the victims were stabbed multiple times. The usually quiet community of Moscow was shocked and saddened.
With time, we will heal. We will move forward together, and we will remain Vandal strong.
Police have not commented on a possible motive and say the investigation and the quest for justice goes on. Dan Shenneman, NBC News.
Koberger is expected to be back in court next week. It's still not clear yet when he'll be taken back to Idaho.
Just ahead on 9 News at 4, we're turning the page to 2023.
Countdown is on. Our race and culture contributor is introducing us to a few Black-owned businesses that can help you get the year started off on the right foot.
Plus, we'll help you get ready to celebrate with a few family activities right here around the metro area.